The Miami Heat made a splash in NBA free agency, acquiring Norman Powell in a three-team trade. The acquisition has stirred optimism among fans. But for former Heat champion Mike Miller, the buzz surrounding the deal needs a reality check. "I love Coach Pat, absolute OG," Miller said during a recent appearance on the OG's podcast. Norman Powell, love Norman Powell. Awesome player, like no one talks about him. Maybe because it's a West Coast thing. We live on the East Coast, and we don't hear enough about Norman Powell. Despite his praise, Miller didn't hold back on what the trade means in the bigger picture. Norman Powell's never been a sexy name, but he's an awesome basketball player. "I still don't believe, even with that move and the Miami Heat can hate me, I still don't believe it moves the needle for championships." Norman Powell joins the Heat after a career-best season, averaging 21.8 points per game with the Clippers. The trade sent Powell to Miami, John Collins to LA, and Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 second-round pick to the Utah Jazz. Powell is expected to slot in as the Heat's starting shooting guard, forming a new-look core alongside Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, and recent addition Andrew Wiggins, who arrived in the Jimmy Butler trade last season. With the Eastern Conference wide open, Boston dealing with injury concerns, Milwaukee facing roster reshuffling, Philadelphia adjusting to new leadership, and Indiana banking on youth, many see Miami as a sleeper pick. Mike Miller disagrees. Instead, he believes the Orlando Magic will emerge as the Eastern Conference champions. While Miller made it clear he respects Heat leadership, especially Pat Riley, he also hinted more moves could be on the way in the NBA free agency. "You know what I do know? Coach Riley's not done." For now, Heat fans can only hope he's right, because according to one of their own, they're not quite title-ready yet. The Eastern Conference is going to look different next season. In fact, some would say the East is wide open because a few of the conference's recent elites like the Boston Celtics, Indiana Pacers, and Milwaukee Bucks are dealing with significant injuries to key players and/or major roster changes. But don't tell that to Miami Heat coach Erik Spoelstra. "I don't, and I think that's cool for the fan base to look at it that way," Spoelstra said to reporters last week in Las Vegas, when asked if he believes the East is wide open because so many teams usually near the top in recent years are facing big questions. "We're not afraid of the competition. You can't be afraid of the competition. You can't think that just because there have been some changes in rosters or some injuries that, oh, now we have a chance. That's kind of a loser's mentality. We want to compete at the highest level regardless of who's out there." So the Heat went out and tried to improve its roster this summer after being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in each of the last two seasons, needing to qualify for the playoffs through the NBA's play-in tournament in each of the last three seasons, and finishing this past regular season with a losing record for the first time since the 2018-19 season, and just the sixth time in Pat Riley's 30 seasons with the organization. The Heat's biggest move this offseason, up to this point, is its trade for veteran guard Norman Powell, who is among 6 NBA players who averaged at least 21 points per game, while shooting better than 48% from the field and better than 40% from three-point range last regular season. "We know we have to improve," Spoelstra continued. "We knew we had to do some things this offseason. We know that we have to have a really good training camp, which I think we will. Guys are going to come in prepared. We'll have a productive August and September. Everybody is motivated. We've had plenty of time off. Everybody wants to just gear up and get ready." That time off has allowed Spoelstra to dig deeper into what went wrong last season. For one, Spoelstra is studying the Heat's poor 8-17 record in games decided by 5 points or less last regular season. That went down as the third worst such record in the NBA. Spoelstra is also looking into the Heat's in-game collapses, as Miami blew a double-digit lead in a league-leading 22 losses last regular season. The Heat also wasted a fourth-quarter lead in a league-leading 21 losses last regular season. "Those close games are something that we've really analyzed," Spoelstra said while in Las Vegas for Summer League action, which the Heat will wrap up Friday against the Milwaukee Bucks summer squad, 7 p.m. ESPN+. That can change the trajectory of your season if you handle those moments of truth better, if you have a few more wins out of those groupings of games that were very winnable with fourth-quarter leads and that kind of stuff. The whole league is trying to figure that out. but that has given us something to really dive into. And then offensively, building a system where it can be dynamic and a little bit tougher to just prepare for if you're on the other side. The Heat's hope is that more time together will help fix some of those issues after shaking up its roster midway through last season with the Jimmy Butler trade. What followed the Butler trade was a 10-game losing skid before the Heat found its footing to win 10 of its final 14 regular season games and then become the first 10th-place team in either conference to make the playoffs from the NBA's play-in tournament. The Heat won back-to-back elimination play-in road games in Chicago and Atlanta to qualify for the playoffs before being swept by the East's top-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of the playoffs. There were a lot of things obviously that happened, and we pride ourselves in hitting stride and getting better as the season goes on at the right time, Spoelstra said. It happened very late for us. It happened in about the last 10 games. And then that led to 2 really competitive play-in games. Big picture, that's not where we want to be. But it felt like we were building something in those 10 games, and those 2 games were exhilarating. The locker room was alive after that Atlanta game, and then it was a buzzkill after that. But there's different levels to this, we understand that. When the Heat reconvenes for the start of training camp in late September, Spoelstra expects a rejuvenated group. You can feel the energy, you can feel the excitement building, he said. It doesn't have to be all there right now. But look, it's happening organically. I feel it myself, the staff feels it, the players feel it. It's not that we wish training camp could be tomorrow, but I think there will be a nice, healthy ramp-up to get there, and there's still going to be great competition. That's what it's about. You got to embrace it, and we're looking forward to it. The Miami Heat could be stuck in NBA purgatory for the next few years, with several expensive contracts devoted to players not good enough to be number 1 options, and a president in Pat Riley who refuses to rebuild. While the Heat recently swung a smart trade for versatile wing Norman Powell, it's unlikely to be enough to make them true contenders even in the weakened Eastern Conference. The off-season malaise has certainly caught up to Heat fans, who are dreaming of ways to resurrect the team's glory years in the early 2010s when they were led by LeBron James. One way to bring back that era could be to explore ways to bring back James himself, who is now 40 years old, but still a top 10 player in the NBA. I kind of love it because the team is missing the point guard, said Wes Goldberg of the Locked On Heat podcast when speaking about the idea of bringing James back. LeBron's basically the point guard, he continued. Point guard with Tyler, Herro, Powell, Bam, Adebayo, Phil in the 5th starter. But just putting LeBron in the middle of the team with a defensive anchor big who's super versatile like Bam, and then 2 of the better 3-point shooters in the league in Tyler Herro and Norman Powell. If LeBron is concerned that the Lakers are now a Luka Doncic team, what I just described to you in Miami, that's a LeBron team. It remains unclear how the Heat would acquire James in this scenario unless the Los Angeles Lakers were to buy him out, which would appear highly unlikely at the current juncture. In theory, the idea is intriguing, as LeBron's size at the point guard position would help the Heat offset the fact that they would be small at every other position on the floor. Still, Heat fans probably shouldn't hold their breath on this one.